the Russia-Ukraine war, when the obvious might be an illusion. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, contrary to initial predictions of a swift war, has now stretched into 2025, exacting a heavy toll and prompting many to question the true motivations behind its prolonged duration. Is this due to sheer incompetence? Or is it a deliberate strategy where what seems obvious is merely an illusion? The protracted war, incompetence or deliberate design? When the war first broke out in 2022, much of the world anticipated a rapid conclusion. Yet, here we are in 2025, with the conflict still raging, millions displaced, and hundreds of billions of dollars in aid poured in without a decisive outcome. This leads many to question the effectiveness of Western support. If the European Union, EU, genuinely desired a swift Ukrainian victory, they could have acted far more decisively. Accelerating heavy weapon deliveries, imposing crippling sanctions on the Russian economy, or even direct NATO intervention, such as establishing a no-fly zone, as they did in Libya, were all viable options. However, the reality has unfolded differently. Aid has arrived slowly, incrementally, and sometimes with interruptions. Sanctions have proven leaky, and NATO has consistently maintained a just enough distance, avoiding direct engagement. This raises a crucial question. Is this war not meant to be won outright, but rather to be sustained in a no-win, no-lose state? A prolonged conflict could serve more complex objectives, extending beyond public declarations of support and justice. Russia and the EU, two sides of a larger chessboard? On the surface, Russia is cast as the aggressor, and the EU as the righteous side, representing democratic values. But a closer look reveals a potentially more nuanced picture. From 2022 to 2024, many European energy corporations reportedly continued to import oil and gas from Russia via intermediary countries. Some Western politicians are also rumored to have maintained discrete economic ties with Moscow. Meanwhile, Ukraine, the nation bearing the direct and devastating consequences, is increasingly exhausted. From a country that garnered global sympathy and support, Ukraine has seemingly become the largest debtor in modern Western history. This prompts questions about the roles of all parties involved. Is it possible that Russia and the EU are operating within a deeper order, where both sides might benefit from a controlled state of war, even without overt collusion? Who truly benefits from a prolonged war? In any crisis, the critical question is not who caused it, but rather, who is benefiting? From an economic and geopolitical standpoint, certain entities are clearly profiting from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Western arms manufacturers, their stock prices have surged and massive new orders have poured in, leading to unprecedented profits. Energy companies. Soaring natural gas and oil prices throughout 2022 to 2023 have generated super profits for this sector. Defense technology industry. The war has spurred increased research and development, R&D budgets, and expanded the global influence of companies in this field. Global planners. This crisis serves as a pretext to intensify policies of control, surveillance, and the restructuring of supply chains, monetary systems, and the global political order. A world in a prolonged state of instability is fertile ground for establishing a new order, often built upon fear and uncertainty. Ukraine, a nation of replaced choices. When the war began, Ukraine was at the epicenter of international emotion and attention. However, over time, its role seems to have shifted. From a universally pitied victim, Ukraine appears to have become a political pawn, and ultimately an appealing reconstruction market for the West after the conflict. With hundreds of billions of dollars in aid flowing in, yet with a lack of transparency, observers are beginning to ask, is Ukraine being helped, or is it being used? Is this support truly for Ukraine's ultimate benefit, Or is it serving larger purposes related to the strategic and economic interests of major powers? The global elite and the game of order from chaos? In political theory, there's a principle known as ordo ab chao, order arising from chaos. This principle suggests that when a society is sufficiently chaotic, its people become more accepting of extreme solutions. When the world feels too insecure, individuals seek protection from higher, more powerful institutions. A war like the one in Ukraine, protracted, tragic, but difficult to decisively end, whether by accident or design, has created precisely the environment needed for such a dynamic to unfold. Expansion of NATO's influence. The conflict has prompted European nations to increase defense budgets and strengthen the alliance. Increased defense spending. Across Europe, security concerns have led many European countries to reevaluate their defense policies. Enhanced control over media, information, and cybersecurity. In the context of conflict, information control becomes paramount. Conclusion. The grand play and its pawns. Perhaps all of this is merely coincidence, but it's also possible that it's part of a long-term script orchestrated by forces beyond public view. In this scenario, nations, including Ukraine, Russia, and the EU, are simply necessary pawns on a much larger geopolitical chessboard. If we fail to ask difficult questions and view these events from multiple perspectives, it's quite possible we are living within a grand play, without ever realizing what role we are truly playing. Do you agree that maintaining an objective and multifaceted perspective is crucial in the current global climate? Are we witnessing reality, or just playing our roles in a script we didn't write? It's time to question not just what we see, but why we're being shown it. Don't just watch. Think, question, share. If this made you think, like the video. And if you're ready to dive deeper, subscribe and stay aware.